There you go. For some reason, um, my thing was not like active. My mic was not active. Oh my god, I can't speak. Okay. Uh, let's see. I am gonna tweet about this on Twitter. Oh, duh, tweeting about this on Twitter. I am not like I am I am dumb with words right now. Okay, my thumbnail's not good, but let me do for now. Um, let's let's try and get this up and running, shall we? Uh, uh, uh. I hope that this audio is fine. No idea though. Hey Snail, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Uh, I forgot to do some prep work, like the thumbnail, for example. Like, so I'm like dealing with that right now. So yeah, I'm gonna be a little bit like late to the actual content of it, but like, uh, yeah, today we're gonna have some fun reading a book that's written like a long time ago. Uh, the copyright is from 1924, which is like I think almost 100 years ago, and it sounds pretty damn good. If you're wondering about the link for the book, it's in Project Gutenberg. It is in uh, it is in the description of this video. Um, it is in the public domain, so you're free to read uh, as you want. Uh, yeah, Photoshop is not launching for me, so I think I'm just gonna have to uh, leave the thumbnail as it is right now, even though it's like not that good. If that makes sense. Like okay, like the thumbnail right now is just a default face of me, and I haven't made a thumbnail for a book club yet. I don't know what I'm gonna call this series. If it's gonna be a series at all, I don't know if like people are gonna like it or not. But anyways, like I'm gonna like read anyways. Oh, you know what? Um, let's go to Irastoya. Yeah, and see if I can find a picture of a book. Uh, okay, this does not help. No, god damn it. Oh my god, I keep clicking on the wrong things. Change keyboard. It's not the type of book I was thinking. No? Huh. Why aren't there any books? Oh, there's multiple pages. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna like find something. Yeah, okay. I mean, it kind of looks wrong, but whatever. I'm not gonna question it. I am not gonna question this. I'm just gonna drag this image here. And yeah, it's like this book is weirdly happy for being split open, but I don't know. It's a book, and it's happy for being. Okay, that's like too much thinking. I'm gonna try and find a better book one if I can. If I can't, well, that's fine, I guess. Okay, it's a box of books. 1, 2, 3, 4. It should be fine, right? Let's just have a box of books. And I don't know. Let's see. Oh wait, why is my chat not showing everything? Okay, there you go. Like, I don't know why, but that book seems way too happy to be read, to be split open, I guess. But I don't know, man. It's their choice, I guess. Just have this box of books in the background. There you go. Anyways, you'll most likely come back here and play my videos background whenever you're doing something. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Looks weird for real. Yeah, it does. It's kind of unsettling, to be honest, but I'll just run with it. Okay, we by I cannot read Russian names, man. Yevgeny Zamyatin. It's also localized as Eugene Zamyatin. This book is very reminiscent of 1984 and Brave New World, but it's published like way before those books. People have said that they might be like the inspiration behind those books, but like the author, like Huxley, has denied that he based this book on this. I mean, yeah, it's a good book. Okay, it's a good book, but it's not as well known. This author is a Russian author. I'm reading the translation by Gregory Zilberg. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. But anyways, yeah, he wrote this in Russia. He didn't publish this in Russia. He couldn't. He wasn't allowed to. So the one that like got the most recognition was the translation of it. Yeah, like it is the translation of his book that got more recognition than his original. Basically, like uh he he wrote this book, and and it was published, like the English translation was published in 1924, right? I think the Russian original, like it was published in Russian in Russia in 1950 something, I think 1952, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like pretty long after like he originally wrote it. So yeah. Anyways, I'll start. This is the first chapter of We by Eugene Zamyatin. Record 1. An announcement. The wisest of lines. A poem. This is merely a copy, word by word, of what was published this morning in the state newspaper. In another 120 days, the building of the Integral will be completed. The great historic hour is near. When the first integral will rise into the limitless space of the universe. 1,000 years ago, your heroic ancestors subjected the whole earth to the power of the United States. A still more glorious task is before you: the integration of the indefinite equation of the cosmos by the use of glass, electric, fire-breathing integral. Your mission is to subjugate to the grateful yoke of reason to the unknown beings who live on other planets, and who are perhaps still in the primitive state of freedom. If they will not understand that we are bringing them a mathematically faultless happiness, our duty will be to force them to be happy. But before we take arms, we shall try the power of words. In the name of the well-doer, the following is announced herewith to all numbers of the United States. Whoever feels capable must consider it his duty to write treatises, poems, manifestos, odes, and other compositions on the greatness and the beauty of the United States. This will be the first load which the integral will carry. Long live the United States. Long live the numbers. Long live the well-doer. Feel my cheeks are burning as I write this. To integrate the colossal universal equation, to unbend the wild curve, to straighten out to a tangent, to a straight line, where the United States is a straight line, a great, divine, precise, wise line, the wisest of lines. I don't know if this is supposed to be read as integral or integral. Maybe integral because it's all like math stuff. D503, the builder of the integral. I am only one of the many mathematicians on the United States. My pen, which is accustomed to figures, is unable to express the march and rhythm of consonants. Therefore, I shall try to record only the things I see, things I think, or to be more exact, the things we think. Yes, we. That is exactly what I mean, and we shall therefore be the title of my records. But this will only be a derivative of our life, of our mathematical perfect life in the United States. If this be so, will not this derivative be a poem in itself, despite my limitations? It will. I believe. I know it. I feel my cheeks are burning as I write this. I feel something similar to what a woman probably feels for the first time when she senses within herself the pulse of a tiny blind human being. It is I, and at the same time it is not I, and for many long months it will be necessary to feed with my life, with my blood, and then with the pain at my heart, to tear it from myself and lay it at the feet of the United States. Yet I am ready, as everyone, or nearly everyone of us is. I am ready. I'm gonna interject some parts, like maybe like every record, because it's not that long per record, about my thoughts and my commentary, because I can't just like be reading this, right? Like, you're not tuning in for an audiobook, you're tuning in for me fumbling around a book. Like, if you want an audiobook, there's like better written, better voice acted audiobooks, right? I am not the best person to do this. Anyways, I'm trying to read more because I am, if you couldn't tell, I'm kind of dumb. I am not the brightest of people, okay? Yeah, and I am not the most verbose of people, I guess. I'm not verbose. Like, I don't pronounce words well. I don't enunciate well enough, I guess. And this is kind of my training. Okay, record 2. Ballet, Square Harmony, X. Spring, from behind the green wall from some unknown plains, the wind brings to us the yellow honeyed pollen of flowers. One slips or dry from the sweet dust. Every moment one passes one's tongue over them. Probably all women whom I meet in the street, and men certainly so, have today sweet lips. This disturbs somewhat my logical thinking. But the sky is blue. Its limpidness is not marred by a single cloud. How primitive was the taste of the ancients, since their poets were always inspired by these senseless, formless, stupidly rushing accumulations of steam. I love. I am sure it will not be an error if I say we love. Only such a sky, a sterile, faultless sky. On such days, the whole universe seems to be molded of the same eternal glass, like the green wall, and all our buildings. On such days, one sees into the very blue depth of things. One sees their wonderful equations, hitherto unknown. One sees them in everything, even in the most ordinary everyday things. Here is an example. This morning I was on the dock where the integral is being built. I saw the lathes. Blindly, with abandon, the balls of the regulators were rotating. The cranks were swinging from side to side with a glimmer. The working beam proudly swung its shoulder, and the mechanical chisels were dancing to the melody of an unheard tarantella. I suddenly perceived all the music, all the beauty of this colossal, of this mechanical ballet illumined by light blue rays of sunshine. Then the thought came, why beautiful? Why is a dance beautiful? Answer, because it is an unfree movement, because the deep meaning of the dance is contained in its absolute ecstatic submission, in the ideal non-freedom. It is true that our ancestors would abandon themselves in dancing at the most inspired moments of their lives, at religious mysteries, military parades. That means only one thing. The instinct of non-freedom has been characteristic of human nature from ancient times. And we, in our life of today, we are only consciously. I was interrupted. The switchboard clicked. I raised my eyes. Oh, 90, of course. In half a minute she herself will be here to take me for the walk. Dear O, she always seems to me to look like her name, O. She is approximately 10 centimeters shorter than the required maternal norm. Therefore, she appears all round. The rose-colored O of her lips is open to meet every word of mine. She has a round, soft dimple on her wrist. Children have such dimples. As she came in, the logical flywheel was still buzzing in my head. Following its inertia, I began to tell her about my new formula, which embraced the machines and the dancers and all of us. Wonderful, isn't it? I asked. Yes, wonderful. Spring, she replied with a rosy smile. You see, spring. She talks about spring, females. I became silent. We were down in the street. The avenue was crowded. On days when the weather is so beautiful, the afternoon personal hour is usually the hour of the supplementary walk. As always, the big musical tower was playing with all its pipes, the March of the United States. The numbers, hundreds, thousands of numbers in light blue unifs, probably a derivative of the ancient uniform, with golden badges on the chest. The state number of each one, male or female. The numbers were walking slowly, four abreast, exultantly keeping the step. We four were but one of the innumerable waves of a powerful torrent. To my left, 090. If one of my long-haired ancestors were writing this 1,000 years ago, he would probably call her by that funny word, mine. To my right, two unknown numbers, a she number and a he number. Blue sky, tiny baby suns in each one of our badges. Our faces are unclouded by the insanity of thoughts. Rays, do you picture it? Everything seems to be made of a kind of smiling, a ray-like matter, and the brass measures. Tra-ta-ta-ta-tum, tra-ta-ta-tum, stamping on the brassy steps which sparkle in the sun. With every step you rise higher and higher into the dizzy blue heights. Then, as this morning on the dock, again I saw, as if for the first time in my life, the impeccably straight streets, the glistening glass of the pavement, the divine parallelepipeds of the transparent dwellings, the square harmony of the grayish blue-brown and blue rows of numbers, and it seemed to me that not past generations, but I myself had won a victory over the over the old God and the old life, that I myself had created all this. I felt like a tower. I was afraid to move my elbow, lest the walls, the cupola, and the machine should fall to pieces. Then, without warning, a jump through the centuries, I remembered, apparently through an occasion, by contrast, a picture in the museum. A picture of an avenue of the 20th century. A thundering, many-colored confusion of men, wheels, animals, billboards, trees, colors, and birds. They say all this once actually existed. It seemed to me so incredible, so absurd that I lost myself and laughed aloud. A laugh, as if an echo of mine reached my ear from the right. I turned. I saw white, very white, sharp teeth, and an unfamiliar female face. I beg your pardon, she said, but you looked about you like an inspired mythological god on the seventh day of creation. You look as though you are sure that I too was created by you, by no one but you. It is very flattering. All this without a smile, even with a certain degree of respect. She may know that I am the builder of the integral. In her eyes, nevertheless, in her brows, there was a strange, irritating X, and I was unable to grasp it, to find an arithmetical expression for it. Somehow I was confused. With a somewhat hazy mind, I tried to logically motivate my laughter. It was absolutely clear that this contrast, this impassable abyss between the things of today and of years ago. But why impassable? What bright, sharp teeth! One might throw a bridge over that abyss. Please imagine a drum battalion, rows. All this existed before and consequently. Oh yes, it is clear, I exclaimed. It was a remarkable intersection of thoughts. She said, almost in the same words, the things I wrote down before the walk. Do you understand? Even the thoughts. It is because nobody is one, but one of. We are all so much alike. Are you sure? I noticed her brows, which rose to the temples in an acute angle, like the sharp corners of an X. Again I was confused, casting a glance to the right, then to the left. To my right she, slender, abrupt, resistantly flexible like a whip. I-330, I saw her number now. To my left, oh, totally different, made of all circles with a childlike dimple on her wrist. At the very end of our row, an unknown he number, double curved like the letter S. We were all so different from one another. To my right, I-1330 apparently caught my confused eye, for she said with a sigh, yes, alas. I don't deny that this exclamation was quite in place, but again there was something in her face or in her voice. With an abruptness unusual for me, I said, why, alas? Science is developing, and if not now, then within 50 or 100 years. Even the noses will. Yes, noses. This time I almost shouted, since there is still a reason, no matter what, for envy, since my nose is button-like and someone else's is. Well, your nose is rather classic, as they would say in the ancient days, although your hands... No, show me your hands. I hate to have anyone look at my hands. They are covered with long hair. Stupid atavism. I stretched out my hand and said as indifferently as I could, ape-like. She glanced at my hand and then at my face. No, a very curious harmony. She weighed me with her eyes as though with scales. The little horns again appeared at the corners of her brows. He is registered in my name, exclaimed O90 with a rosy smile. I made a grimace. Strictly speaking, she was out of order. This dear O, how shall I say it? The speed of her tongue is not correctly calculated. The speed per second of her tongue should be slightly less than the speed per second of her thoughts. At any rate, not the reverse. At the end of the avenue, the big bell of the accumulating tower resounded 17. The personal hour was at an end. I-330 was leaving us with that S-like he number. He has such a respectable, and I noticed then such a familiar face. I must have met him somewhere, but where I could not remember. Upon leaving me, I-330 said with the same X-like smile, drop in day after tomorrow, at Auditorium 112. I shrugged my shoulders, as if I'm assigned to the auditorium you just named. She, with a peculiar, incomprehensible certainty, you will. The woman had upon me a disagreeable effect, like an irritational component of an equation which you cannot eliminate. I was glad to remain alone with dear O, at least for a short while. Hand in hand with her, I passed 4 lines of avenues. The next corner she went to the right, I to the left. ultimately raise her round blue crystalline eyes. I would like so much to come to you today and pull down the curtains, especially today, right now. How funny she is, but what could I say to her? She was with me only yesterday. She knows well as I that our next sexual day is day after tomorrow. It is merely another case in which her thoughts are too far ahead. It sometimes happens that the spark comes too early to the motor. At parting, I kissed her twice. No, I shall be exact. 3 times on her wonderful blue eyes, such clear, unclouded eyes. That's record 2 done. Welcome, howdy ho. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for saying my voice is soothing. I never really respond well to compliments. I never really know how to respond to them. But thanks. Yeah. Something I noticed from this is that it is written with some difficult words, like difficult to pronounce words. But it's pretty good. Something that I wonder is like this line, like kiss her twice, no, I shall be exact 3 times on her wonderful blue eyes. And I'm like, you kissed somebody on the eyes? Is this where the whole like eye licking fetish thing began? Like this book from 1924, like speaking about kissing eyes? Like, is this where the whole like licking eyes thing came from? Like, bruh, like did somebody just like read this old novel and it's like, okay, that sounds like a thing I could do, like kissing eyes. Maybe like kissing is a bit too much, let's try licking it instead. Like it's like your French kissing the eyes. It's like, bruh. It is a fetish. It is a fetish. Like some people have a fetish of licking the eyes. It was a big thing a few years back, I think. Yeah. it was not a pleasant era to live through. You could you could like Google that shit and it's like, you thought it was a horror thing? No, it's not a horror thing, it's a sexual thing. Like you literally can find like people I'm holding back burps right now. You could literally find like, people doing it for fun. Like, I mean, the news would like to say that it's like teenagers, but it's like, it's not maybe teenagers. And I think like some part of it was like brought about by like a music video or something. Like it's just like a weird thing. It's okay. It's not scary. Okay, it's just weird. Okay, you're putting like one unsanitary thing into another very sensitive but still unsanitary thing. So it's like, it's like, yeah, okay, fair enough. You're not gonna look it up. Yeah, fair enough. Oh my god, what is happening? This stream is gonna be like so cursed by the end. Like, we are probably gonna see like weird as fuck stuff. Like, we are only like almost 30 minutes in to this book, and this is like a dystopian book, remember? So it's probably gonna have some weird shit in it, and I don't know what I'm gonna like mumble about later on. Oracle, is this why you chose this book? No. I just like sci-fi books. I just like dystopian books. Okay, this is legit a good book, okay? This is legit a good book, and it has inspired some of the classics, okay? It's nearly 100 years old, okay? Like, I am not guilty, okay? I am, I don't have those, indecent thoughts, officer. I swear. Okay. Breathe. I shall continue. Record 3. A coat, a wall, the tables. I looked over all that I wrote down yesterday, and I find that my descriptions are not sufficiently clear. That is, everything would undoubtedly be clear to one of us, but who knows to whom my integral will someday bring these records. Perhaps you, like our ancestors, have read the great book of civilization, only up to the page of 900 years ago. Perhaps you don't know even such elementary things as the hour tables, personal hours, maternal norm, green wall, well-doer. It seems to droll to me, and at the same time, very difficult. What is droll? I think it means boring. I think it's a boring way to say boring. Let's try like searching this up. Curious or unusual in a way that provokes dry amusement. Yeah, I have no idea like when I'm gonna use this. Like, see what I said about like weird words. It's like I think it's like I'm too dumb to like comprehend these words. At the same time, very difficult to explain these things. It is as though, let us say, a writer of the 20th century should start to explain in his novel such words such as coat, apartment, wife. Yet if his novel had been translated for primitive races, how could he have avoided explaining what a coat meant? I'm sure that the primitive man would look at a coat and think, what is this for? It is only a burden, an unnecessary burden. I am sure that you will feel the same if I tell you that not one of us has ever stepped beyond the green wall since the 200 Years' War. But dear readers, you must think, at least a little. It helps. It is clear that the history of mankind, as far as our knowledge goes, is a history of the transition from nomadic forms to more sedentary ones. Does it not follow that the most sedentary form of life, ours, is at the same time the most perfect one? There was a time when people were rushing from one end of the earth to another. But this was the prehistoric time when such things as nations, wars, commerce, different discoveries of different Americas still existed. Who has need of these things now? I admit humanity acquired this habit of the sedentary form of life, not without difficulty and not at once. When the 200 Years' War had destroyed all the roads which later were overgrown with grass, it was probably very difficult at first. It seemed uncomfortable to live in cities which were cut off from each other by green debris. But what of it? Man, soon after he lost his tail, probably did not learn at once how to chase away flies without its help. I am almost sure that at first he was even lonesome without his tail. But now, can you imagine yourself with a tail? Or can you imagine yourself walking in the streets naked without clothes? It is possible you go without clothes still. Here we have the same case. I cannot imagine a city which is not clad with a green wall. I cannot imagine a life which is not clad with the figures of our tables. Tables, now even. Purple figures look at me austerely, yet kindly from the golden background of the wall. Involuntarily, I am reminded of the thing which was called by the ancients sainted image, and I feel a desire to compose verses or prayers, which are the same. Oh, why am I not a poet? So as to be able to properly glorify the tables, the heart and the pulse of the United States. All of us, and perhaps all of you, read in childhood while in school, that the greatest of all monuments of ancient literature, the official railroad guide. But if you compare this with the tables, you will see side by side graphite and diamonds. Both are the same, carbon, but how eternal, transparent, and how shining the diamond, who does not lose his breath when he runs through the pages of the guide. The tables transformed each one of us, actually into a six-wheeled steel hero of a great poem. Every morning with six-wheel precision, at the same hour, at the same minute, we wake up, millions of us at once. At the very same hour, millions like one we begin our work, and millions like one we finish it. United into a single body with a million hands, and at the very same second designated by the tables. We carry the spoons to our mouth. At the same second, we all go out to walk, go to the auditorium, to the halls for the tailor exercises, and then to bed. I shall be quite frank, even we have not attained the absolute exact solution of the problem of happiness. Twice a day from 16 to 17 o'clock and from 21 to 22, where a powerful organism dissolves into separate cells. These are the personal hours designated by the tables. During these hours, you would see the curtains discreetly drawn in the rooms of some. Others march slowly over the pavement of the main avenue, or sit at their desks as I sit now. But I firmly believe, let them call me an idealist and a dreamer, I believe that sooner or later we shall somehow find, even for these hours, a place in the general formula. Somehow, all of the 86,400 seconds will be incorporated in the tables of hours. I have had opportunity to read and hear many improbable things about those times when human beings still lived in the state of freedom. That is, an unorganized, primitive state. One thing has always seemed to me the most improbable. How could a government, even a primitive government, permit people to live without anything like our tables? Without compulsory walks, without precise regulation of the time to eat, for instance? They would get up and go to bed whenever they liked. Some historians even say that in those days, the streets were lighted all night, and all night people went about the streets. That I cannot understand. True, their minds were rather limited in those days, yet they should have understood, should they not, that such a life was actually wholesale murder. Although slow murder, day after day, the state, humanitarianism forbade those in those days the murder of one person, but it did not forbid the killing of millions slowly and by half to kill one. That is, to reduce the general sum of human life by 50 years once was considered criminal, but to reduce the general sum of human life by 50 million years was not considered criminal. Is it not droll? Today, this simple mathematical moral problem could easily be solved in half a minute's time by any 10-year-old number, yet they couldn't do it. All their Immanuel Kants together could not do it. It didn't enter the head of all their Kants to build a system of scientific ethics, that is, ethics based on adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Furthermore, is it not absurd that their state, they called it state, left sexual life absolutely without control, however and whenever and as much as they want, absolutely unscientific thing like beasts, and like beasts they blindly gave birth to children. Is it not strange to understand gardening, chicken farming, fishery? We have definite knowledge that they were familiar with all these things, and not to be able to reach the last step in this logical scale, namely the production of children, not to be able to discover such things as maternal and paternal norms. It is so droll, so improbable. While I write this, I'm afraid, lest you, my unknown future readers. Oh god damn it, bots. My unknown. Okay. Should I think my unknown future readers, should I think I am merely a bad jester? I feel almost as though you may think I simply want to mock you, and with a most serious appearance try to relate to you absolute nonsense. But first, I am capable of jesting. For in every joke, a lie has its hidden function. And second, the science of the United States contends the life of what the ancients was exactly what I am describing, and the science of the United States cannot make a mistake. Yet how could they have state logic, since they lived in a condition of freedom like beasts, like apes, like herds? What could one expect of them? Since even in our day, one hears from time to time, coming from the bottom, the primitive depths, the echo of the apes. Fortunately, it happens only from time to time. Very seldom. Happily, it is only a case of small parts breaking. These may easily be repaired without stopping the eternal great march of the whole machine. And in order to eliminate a broken peg, we have the skillful heavy hand of the well-doer. We have the experienced eyes of the guardians. By the way, I just thought of that number whom I met yesterday, the double-curved one like the letter S. I think I may have seen him several times coming out of the Bureau of the Guardians. I now understand why I felt such an instinctive respect for him and a kind of awkwardness when that strange what I 1330 at his side. I must confess that I, they ring the bell. Time to sleep. It is 20 to 30. 22:30 till tomorrow then. Okay, that's the end of record 3. I am not like very good at reading, am I? Like I'm rambling a lot. But right now I've found out that like maybe I can screenshot this section of me reading the book to use as a thumbnail. Hold on. Okay. Really good. Oh, thank you for saying that. I mean, like okay, like what I meant by like bad or and stuff is like I stumble on my words a lot, and that's like not optimal, I guess. Like it's not how I'd like my reading to be. It is, but it's like, you know, if it could be different, like it would be cool. Um, oh my god, I lost my screenshot. Hold on, I'll screenshot again. How can one save the screenshot? Oh my god, I don't know anything. Oh. Huh? That's a tiny image, but okay. Uh, let's try that. Yeah, it is understandable. Well, I hope it's understandable enough. Like, I am like, I'm reading because I like to read, but also because like, I don't speak or read well, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, I need to like get better at speaking my own language, right? It's if you've noticed like me stumbling about, it's like, you know, kind of embarrassing to be honest. I'm like I feel like I'm like 5 years old, like trying to read. Um, but I don't know. It's like it's it's hard to properly read out loud, I guess. I mean, I didn't think I had problems with it, like when I was little and stuff like that, when I was like tiny child AI, but like I don't know. Now I don't know if it's just because I haven't read in quite a long time or if the book is difficult or whatever. I just don't know why I don't read properly now. Anyways, I shall continue with record 4. The wild man with a barometer, epilepsy, if. Until today, everything in life seemed to me clear. That is why I think I always had a sort of partiality towards the word clear. But today I don't understand. First, I really was assigned to auditorium 112, as she said, although the probability was 500 to 10 million or 1 to 20,000. 500 is the number of auditoriums, and there are 10 million numbers. And second, but let me relate the things in successive order. The auditorium, an enormous half globe of glass with the sun piercing through. Circular rows of noble globe-like closely shaven heads. With joy in my heart I looked around, and I believe I was looking in the hope of seeing the rose-colored scythe, the dear lips of O, somewhere along the blue wave of the unifs. Then I saw extraordinarily white, sharp teeth like the... But no! Tonight at 21 o'clock, O was to come to me. Therefore my desire to see her was quite natural. The bell. We stood up, sang the hymn of the United States, and our clever phono lecturer appeared on the platform with a sparkling golden megaphone. Respected numbers. Not so long ago, our archaeologists dug up a book written in the 20th century. This book, the ironical author tells about a wild man and a barometer. The wild man noticed that every time the barometer's hand stopped on the word rain, it actually rained. and as the wild man craved rain, he let out as much mercury as was necessary to put it at the level of the word rain. On the screen, a wild man with feathers letting out the mercury. Laughter. You are laughing at him, but don't you think the European of that age deserves more to be laughed at? He, like the wild man, wanted rain. Rain with a little r, an algebraic rain. But he remained standing before the barometer like a wet hen. The wild man had at least had more courage and energy and logic, although primitive logic. The wild man showed the ability to establish a connection between the cause and effect. By letting out mercury, he made the first step into the path which, here, I repeat, I am not concealing anything, I am setting down everything. I suddenly became impermeable to the quickening currents coming from the megaphone. I suddenly felt I had come here in vain. Why in vain, and how could I not have come here where I was assigned? Everything seemed to me empty like a shell. I succeeded with difficulty in switching my attention in again when the phono lecture came to the main theme of the evening, to our music as a mathematical composition. Mathematics is the cause, music is the effect. The phono lecturer began the description of the recently invented musicometer. By merely rotating this handle, anyone is enabled to produce 3 sonatas per hour. What difficulties our predecessors had in making music. They were able to compose only by bringing themselves to strokes of inspiration, an extinct form of epilepsy. Here you have an amusing illustration of their achievements. The music of Scriabin, 20th century, this black box. A curtain parted on the platform, and we saw an ancient instrument. This box they called the Royal Grand. They attached to this the idea of regality, which also goes to prove how their music. And I don't remember anything further. Very possibly because, I tell you frankly, because she, I-330, came to the royal box. Probably I was simply startled by her unexpected appearance on the platform. She was dressed in a fantastic dress of the ancient time, black dress closely fitting the body, sharply delimiting the white of her shoulders and breast, and that warm shadow waving with her breath between, the dazzling, almost angry teeth, smile, a bite, directed downward. She took her seat. She began to play something wild, convulsive, loud, like all their life then, not a shadow of rational mechanism. Of course, all those around me were right. They were laughing. Only a few. But why is it that I too? I. Yes, epilepsy, a mental disease, a pain, a slow, sweet pain. Bite and it goes deeper and becomes sharper. And then slowly, sunshine, not our sunshine, not crystalline, bluish and soft coming through the glass bricks. No, a wild sunshine, rushing and burning, tearing everything into small bits. The number at my left glanced at me and chuckled. I don't know why, but I remember exactly how a microscopic saliva bubble appeared on his lips and burst. That bubble brought me back to myself. I was, again, I. Like all the numbers I heard, now only the senseless, disorderly cracking of the chords. I laughed. I felt so light and simple. The gifted phono lecturer represented us only too well, that wild epoch. That was all. With what a joy I listened afterward to our contemporary music. It was demonstrated to us at the end of the lecture for the sake of contrast. Crystalline, chromatic scales converging and diverging into endless series. The synthetic harmony of the fortunate of Taylor and Maclaurin, wholesome, square, and massive like the trousers of Pythagoras. Sad melodies dying away in waving movements, the beautiful texture of the spectrum of planets dissected by, oh my god, Fraunhofer lines. Fraunhofer? What a magnificent, what perfect regularity. How pitiful the willful music of the ancients, not limited except by the scope of their wild imaginations. As usual in good order, 4 abreast, all of us left the auditorium. The familiar double-curved figure passed swiftly by. I respectfully bowed. Dear O was to come in an hour. I felt agitated, agreeably and unusefully. Home at last. I rushed to the house office, handed over the controller on duty my pink ticket, and received a certificate permitting the use of the curtains. This right exists in our state only for the sexual days. Normally, we live surrounded by transparent walls, which seem to be knitted of sparkling air. We live beneath the eye of everyone, always bathed in light. We have nothing to conceal from one another. Besides, this mode of living makes the difficult and exalted task of the guardians much easier. Without it, many bad things might happen. It is possible that the strange, opaque dwellings of the ancients were responsible for their pitiful, selfish psychology. My home is my fortress. How did they manage to think of such things? At 22 o'clock, I lowered the curtain, and at the same second, O came in smiling, slightly out of breath. She extended to me her rosy lips and her pink ticket. I tore off the stub, but I could not tear myself away from the rosy lips up to the last moment. 22:15. When I showed her my diary and I talked, I think I talked very well on the beauty of a square, a cube, a straight line. At first she listened so charmingly. She was so rosy, when suddenly a tear appeared in her blue eyes, then another, a third fell straight on the open page. Page 7. The ink blurred. Well, she'll have to copy it again. My dear O, if only you, if. What if? If what? Again the old lament about a child, or perhaps something new regarding the other one. Although it seems as though some, but that would be too absurd. That was record 4. Yeah. If you can't tell, this novel is very succinct. It is very straightforward, I guess is the term for it. Like I'm not really sure myself, like what to describe this novel as. And in record 5, we are gonna encounter some choice words. Please keep in mind that this was written nearly 100 years ago. It's written 98 years ago. So some of these might not be up to the par of modern sensibilities, but I am sure the author didn't mean bad. Because like there are some terms that are like, very like frank, like very straight to the point, and it is written in the mind of a pretty much brainwashed mathematician from the future, right? It's not clear how far in the future, but apparently there's like a 200-year war. Yeah, so it's like can be a little bit iffy in that sense. But anyways, shall continue with record 5. It's not that long, record 5. The square, the rulers of the world, an agreeable and useful function. Again with you, my unknown reader. I talk to you as though you were, let us say, my old comrade, R13, the poet with the lips of a Negro. Well, everyone knows him, yet you are somewhere on the moon, or on Venus, or on Mars. Who knows you? Where and who are you? Imagine a square, a living, beautiful square. Imagine that this square is obliged to tell you about itself, about its life. You realize that this square would hardly think it is necessary to mention that the fact all its 4 angles are equal. It knows this too well. This is such an ordinary, obvious thing. I am in exactly the same square position. Take the pink checks, for instance, and all that goes with them. For me, they are as natural as the equality of the 4 angles of the square. But for you, they are perhaps more mysterious and hard to understand than the binomial of Newton. Let me explain. An ancient sage once said a clever thing, accidentally beyond doubt. He said, Love and hunger rule the world. Consequently, to dominate the world, man had to win a victory over hunger after paying a very high price. I refer to the Great 200 Years' War, the war between the city and the land, probably on account of religious prejudices. The primitive peasants held on to their bread. In the 35th year before the foundation of the United States, our contemporary petroleum food was invented. True, only about 2/10 of the population of the globe did not die out, but how beautifully shining the face of the earth became when it was cleared of its impurities. Oh, here's a note on the word bread. It says, this word came down to us for use only as a poetic form, for the chemical constitution of this substance is unknown to us. Continuing. Accordingly, the 0.2 which survived have enjoyed the greatest happiness in the bosom of the United States. But it is not clear that supreme bliss and envy are only the numerator and the denominator respectively of the same fraction, happiness. What sense would the innumerable sacrifices of the 200 Years' War have for us if a reason were left in our life for jealousy? Yet such a reason persisted, because there remained button-like noses and classical noses. Cross-reference our conversation during the promenade. For there were some whose love was sought by everyone, and others whose love was sought by no one. Naturally, having conquered hunger, that is, algebraically speaking, having achieved the total of bodily welfare, the United States directed its attack against the second ruler of the world, against love. At last, this element was also conquered, that is, organized and put into a mathematical formula. It is already 300 years since our great historic lex sexualis was promulgated. A number may obtain a license to use any other number as sexual products. The rest is only a matter of technique. You are carefully examined in the laboratory of the sexual department, where they find the content of the sexual hormones in your blood, and they make out for you accordingly a table of sexual days. Then you file an application to enjoy the services of number so-and-so, or number so-and-so. You get for that purpose a checkbook, pink, that is all. It is clear that under such circumstances there is no more reason for envy or jealousy. The denominator of the fraction of happiness is reduced to zero, and the whole fraction is thus converted into magnificent infiniteness. A thing which was for the ancients the source of innumerable stupid tragedies has been converted in our time into a harmonious, agreeable, and useful function of the organism. A function like sleep, like physical labor, the taking of food, digestion, etc., etc. Hence you see how the great power of logic purifies everything it happens to touch. Oh, if only you unknown readers can conceive this divine power. If only you will learn to follow it to the end. It is very strange. While I was writing today of the loftiest summit of human history, all while I breathed the purest mountain air of thought, but within me it was and remains cloudy, cobwebby. It is a kind of cross like 4-pod X. Perhaps it is my pawns, and I feel like that only because they are always before my eyes, my hairy paws. I don't like to talk about them. I dislike them. They are a trace of a primitive epoch. Is it possible that there is in me? ? I read paws as pawns. Oh my god. I wanted to strike out all this because it trespasses on the limits of my synopsis. But then I decided, no, I shall not. Let this diary give the curve of the most imperceptible vibrations of my brain, like a precise seismograph, for at times such vibrations serve as forewarnings. Certainly this is absurd. This certainly should be stricken out. We have conquered all the elements, catastrophes, and are not possible anymore. Now everything is clear to me. This peculiar feeling inside as a result of that very same situation which I spoke in the beginning. There is no X in me. There can be none. I am simply afraid lest some X would be left in you. my unknown readers. I believe you will understand that it is harder for me to write than it ever was for any author throughout human history. Some of them wrote for contemporaries, while some for the future generations, but none of them ever wrote for their ancestors, or beings like their primitive, distant ancestors. It's been about an hour since I started reading, and my back is beginning to lose its war of attrition against my chair. I am in pain. I feel old, but I am fine, I think. Yeah, and I've only reached record 6. There's like a lot of records in this book. Like, there is a lot. There are 40 records, and I'm only on record 6. Prioritize your health. Well, I'm healthy, okay? I am healthy. I am a perfectly healthy AI, okay? I am not sick. This chair is just not a good chair. Oh boy. Well, at least this book here is happier than my back right now. Prioritize your comfort. No. Comfort is not mathematical. I shall not partake in this comfort thing you speak of. It is non-algebraic. What am I saying? Oh my god. Chapter 6 is long. It's long as fuck. Okay. Okay. Record 6. An accident. The cursed. It's clear. 24 hours. I must repeat, I made it my duty to write concealing nothing. Therefore, I must point out now that, sad as it may be, the process of hardening and crystallization of life has evidently not been completed, even here in our state. A few steps remain to be made before we reach the ideal. The ideal, it's clear, is to be found where nothing happens. But here, I will give you an example. In the state paper, I read that in 2 days, the holiday of justice will be celebrated on the Plaza of the Cube. This means that, again, some number has impeded the smooth run of the great state machine. Again, something that was not foreseen or forecalculated happened. Besides, something happened to me. True, it occurred during the personal hour, that is, during the time specifically assigned to unforeseen circumstances. Yet, at about 16, to be exact, 10 minutes to 16, I was at home. Suddenly, the telephone. D503? A woman's voice. Yes. Are you free? Yes. It is I. I-330. I shall run over to you immediately. We shall go together to the ancient house. Agreed? I-330. This irritates me, repels me. She almost frightens me. But just because of that, I answered yes. In 5 minutes, we were in an arrow. Blue sky of May. The light sun in its golden arrow buzzed behind us, without catching up and without lagging behind. Ahead of us, a white cataract of a cloud. Yes, a white cataract of a cloud, nonsensically fluffy like the cheeks of an ancient cupid. That cloud was disturbing. The front window was open. It was windy. Lips were dry. Against one's will, one passed through the tongue constantly over them and thought about the lips. We already saw in the distance the hazy green spots on the other side of the wall. Then a slight involuntary sinking of the heart. Down, 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 as if from a steep mountain. We were at the ancient house. Its strange, delicate, blind establishment is covered all around with a glass shell. Otherwise, it would undoubtedly have fallen into pieces long ago. At the glass door, we found an old woman, all wrinkles. especially her mouth, which was all made up of folds and pleats. Her lips had disappeared, having folded inward. Her mouth seemed grown altogether. It seemed incredible that she should be able to talk, and yet she did. Well, dear, come again to see my little house? Her wrinkles shone. That is, her wrinkles diverged like rays, which created the impression of shining. Yes, grandmother, answered I-330. The wrinkles continued to shine. And the sun, eh? Do you see it? The rogue, you... I know. It's all right. Go all by yourselves. I shall remain here in the sunshine. Apparently my companion was a frequent guest here. Something disturbed me, probably that unpleasant optical impression, the cloud on the smooth blue surface of the sky. While we were ascending the wide, dark stairs, I-330 said, I love her, that old woman. Why? I don't know, perhaps for her mouth, or perhaps for nothing, just so. I shrugged my shoulders. She continued walking upstairs with a faint smile, or perhaps without a smile at all. I feel very guilty. It is clear that there must not be love, just so, but love because of, for all elements of nature should be. It's clear, I began, but I stopped at that word and cast a furtive look at I-330. Did she notice it or not? She looked somewhere, down. Her eyes were closed like curtains. It struck me suddenly. Evening, about 22. We walk on the avenue, and among the brightly lighted, transparent cubic cells are dark spaces, lowered curtains, and there behind the curtains, what has she behind her curtains? Why did she phone me today? Why did she bring me here? And all this. She opened a heavy, squeaking, opaque door and found ourselves in a somber, disorderly space. They called it an apartment. The same strange royal music instrument, and a wild, unorganized, crazy loudness of colors and forms like their ancient music. A white plane above, dark blue walls, red, green, and orange bindings of ancient books, yellow, bronze candelabras, a statue of Buddha, furniture with limbs restored by epilepsy. This is what I meant about this book. Furniture with lines distorted by epilepsy. Impossible to reduce to any clear equation. Okay, I want to tweet this. Oh no, I still have my Japanese keyboard. Okay. Lines distorted by epilepsy is so, like, it just caught me off guard, right? Like, this is the type of shit that gets me, like, catches me off guard when reading stuff like this. Okay. It is impossible to reduce to any clear equation. I could hardly bear that chaos, but my companion apparently possessed a stronger constitution. This is my most beloved. She suddenly caught herself, again with a smile, bite, and white sharp teeth. To be more exact, the most nonsensical of all apartments. Or to be most exact, of all the states. Thousands of microscopic states, fighting eternal wars, pitiless like. Oh yes, it's clear, said I-330 with apparent sincerity. We passed through a room where we found a few small children's beds. Children in those days were also private property. Then more rooms, glimmering mirrors, somber closets, unbearably loud-colored divans? What is divans? Wait, how do I pronounce this word? D-I-V-A-N. A divan is a couch-like sitting furniture, or in some countries a box spring-based bed. Okay. It's almost a sofa bed, basically. Okay, sure. An enormous fireplace, with quotes. A large mahogany bed. Our contemporary beautiful transparent eternal glass was represented here only by pitiful, delicate, tiny squares of windows. To think there was love, just so. They burned and tortured themselves. Again the curtain of the eyes was lowered. What a stupid, uneconomical spending of human energy. Am I not right? She spoke as though reading my thoughts, but in her smile there always remained that irritating X. There behind the curtain, something was going on, and I don't know what, but something that made me lose my patience. I wanted to quarrel with her, to scream at her, exactly to scream. But I had to agree. It was impossible not to agree. We stopped in front of a mirror, and at that moment I saw only her eyes. An idea came to me. Human beings are built as nonsensically as these stupid apartments. Human heads are opaque, and there are only two very small windows that lead inside. The eyes. She seemed to have guessed my thoughts and turned around. Well, here they are, my eyes. Well? This suddenly, then silence. There were in front of me two gloomy dark windows, and behind them such strange hidden life. I saw there only fire, burning like a peculiar fireplace, and unknown figures resembling. All this was certainly very natural. I saw in her eyes the reflection of my own face. But my feelings were unnatural and not like me. Where the fuck did I stop reading? My feelings were unnatural and not like me. Evidently, the depressing influence of the surroundings was beginning to tell on me. I felt definitely fear. I felt as if I were trapped and caged in a strange cage. I felt that I was caught in the wild hurricane of ancient life. Do you know, said I-330, step out for a moment into the next room. Her voice came from there, from inside, from behind the dark window eyes where the fireplace was blazing. I went out, sat down. From a shelf on the wall, there looked straight into my face, somewhat smiling, the snub-nosed, asymmetrical physiognomy of one of the ancient poets. I think it was Pushkin. Why do I sit here enduring the smile with such resignation, and what is this all about? Why am I here, and why are all these strange sensations, this irritating, repellent female, this strange game? The door of the closet slammed. There was rustle of silk. I felt it difficult to restrain myself from getting up, and I don't remember exactly. Probably I wanted to tell her a number of disagreeable things, but she had already appeared. She was dressed in a short, bright, yellowish dress, black hat, black stockings. The dress was of light silk. I saw clearly very long black stockings above the knees, an uncovered neck, and the shadow between. It's clear that you want to seem original, but is it possible that you... It is clear, interrupted I-330, that to be original means to stand out among others. Consequently, to be original means to violate the law of equality. It was called, what was called in the language of the ancient to be common is with us only the fulfilling of one's duty. For, yes, exactly, I interrupted impatiently. There's no use. She came near the bust of the snub-nosed poet, lowered the curtains of the wildfire in her eyes, and said, this time I think she was really in earnest, or perhaps she merely wanted to soften my impatience with her. But she said with a very reasonable thing. She said a very reasonable thing. Don't you think it's surprising that once people could stand types like this, don't only stand them but worship them? What a slavish spirit? Don't you think so? It is clear, that is, I wanted. The damn cursed. It's clear. Oh yes, I understand. But in fact these were rulers stronger than the crowned ones. Why were they not isolated and exterminated? In our state... Oh yes, in our state, I began. Suddenly she laughed. I saw the laughter in her eyes. I saw the resounding, sharp curve of that laughter, flexible, tense like a whip. I remember my whole body shivered. I thought of grasping her. I don't know what. I had to do something. Mattered little what. Automatically I looked at my golden badge, glanced at my watch. 10 minutes to 17. Don't you think it's time to go? I said in as polite a tone as possible. And if I should ask you to stay here with me? ? What? Do you realize what you are saying? In 10 minutes I must be in the auditorium, and all the numbers must take the prescribed courses in art and science, said I-330 with my voice. Then she lifted the curtain, opened her eyes. Through the dark windows the fire was ablazing. I have a physician in the medical bureau. He is registered to me. If I ask him, he will give you a certificate declaring that you are ill, alright? Understood. At last I understood where this game was leading. Ah, so. But you know that every honest number, as a matter of course, must immediately go to the office of the Guardians, and as a matter of not of course? Sharp smile bite. I am very curious to know, will you or will you not go to the Guardians? Are you going to remain here? I grasped the Nora of the Dob. What? The Nora of the knob of the door. Oh my god! It was a brass knob, a cold brass knob, and I heard, cold like brass, her voice. Just a minute, may I? She went to the telephone, called a number. I was so upset that it escaped me, and spoke loudly. I shall be waiting for you in the ancient house. Yes, yes, alone. Turned the cold brass knob. May I take the arrow? Oh yes, certainly, please. In the sunshine at the gate, the old woman was dozing like a plant. Again, I was surprised to see her grown together, mouth open, to hear her say, "And your lady, did she remain alone?" Alone. The mouth of the old woman grew together again. She shook her head, and apparently her weakening brain understood the stupidity and the danger of the behavior of that woman. At 17 o'clock exactly, I was at the lecture. There I suddenly realized that I did not tell the whole truth to the woman. I-330 was not there alone now. Possibly this fact that I involuntarily told the woman a lie was torturing me now and distracting my attention. Yes, not alone. That was the point. After 21:30 o'clock, I had a free hour. I could therefore have gone to the office of the Guardians to make my report. But after that stupid adventure, I was so tired. Besides, the law provides 2 days. I shall have time tomorrow. I have another 24 hours. Okay. Record 7 is even longer. Okay. Yeah. I enjoyed this reading. I don't know if you guys like this or not. If people like it, like I might do some more of it. Like I might continue the book. Um, but if not, like I'll just read it on my own, I guess. My time alone. Or maybe we could like save it for like an endurance stream, like someday in the future, like read a whole book on stream. That might be fun. My throat will die, of course, but like with breaks and with enough drinks, I think I'll be fine. Yeah.